This episode is sponsored by Incogni. Listen, guys, I don't know about you, but I get real tired of managing the spam and cold outreach to my contact info. Those annoying emails, phone calls from unknown numbers, wasting our time and valuable attention. Not to mention the bad stuff from data breaches, which are rising every year. To top it off, data brokers out there harvest our information and sell it to people who intend to spam you and scam you. So what do we do about it? Well, I use Incogni. I signed up to use the platform, and within 30 minutes, hundreds of requests had been sent and completed, removing my data from the public view. Incogni tracks down and removes your personal data from online directories, people search sites, and commercial databases. The process is fully automated for the hundreds of known data brokers who sell our data without consent. Got a site that they don't auto-hit? No problem. There's a custom removal feature to take down almost everything that is exposed online. So take it from me and take back your personal data with Incogni. Go to incogni.com/codestory and use code CODESTORY at checkout to get 60% off annual plans. You can also find the link in the episode description. That's incogni.com/codestory, because they can't harm you if they can't find you.
So the first MVP that we actually built, and this is over the last 3 months, it is a simple swap feature. So anyone on a layer 2 EVM can deposit cryptocurrency amounts, as for instance, some USD Tether, and they can say anyone on the Bitcoin network can actually purchase that from me. And if you're a Bitcoin holder, you can go to BeL2. You can see that there's these individuals around the world that are willing to trade their USDT for Bitcoin. And if you like what the amount and you like the offering, you can basically go ahead and make a swap. My name is Sasha Mitchell, and I am the CEO of BeL2, the Bitcoin Elastos Layer 2 protocol.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the backhand.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
Took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their
The
back.
company is its
The
people.
teams help each other achieve.
I was proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time. The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it. Not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Laupart, and today how Sasha Mitchell is making Bitcoin smart by transforming EVM blockchains to Bitcoin Layer 2.
This episode is sponsored by NordProtect. In a world where data breaches are on the rise and identity theft is becoming more common, you have to take steps to protect yourself. NordProtect offers you everything you need to keep your identity safe, all in one easy place. It's built to help you safeguard your identity with advanced automation that works 24/7 on your behalf. Things like dark web monitoring, credit monitoring, security alerts, and more. And if the worst should occur, the platform walks alongside you for identity restoration. NordProtect plans come with financial coverage across a wide range of threats, from identity theft to online fraud and scams, so you are covered when it matters most. Get an exclusive 5% discount on NordProtect plans. Go to nordprotect.com/codestory and use the code CODESTORY at checkout. You can also find the link in the episode notes. That's nordprotect.com/codestory. Sasha Mitchell is living in Bangkok, Thailand, but grew up in London. He started in the creative industries, as one side of his family is architects and the other side are musicians. This inspired him to study music production, which allowed him to enjoy the intersection of tech and creativity. During his time in film tech, he discovered the blockchain and started his journey into this industry. But outside of tech, he enjoys snowboarding, skateboarding, and of course, music and film. Being in the space for a long time, Sasha has been witnessing what he describes as the drop in value of currency by manipulation. He wanted to see decentralized smart contracts create a smart economy as part of a new internet. This is the creation story of BeL2.
So BeL2 stands for Bitcoin Elastos Layer 2. Really in 2017, when I started to get into blockchain, there was a project that really stood out for me called Elastos. The founder was the 10th employee at Microsoft. He had a real belief about the importance of decentralized identities, the ability to actually own that data, and then to be able to monetize so individuals can really participate in the digital economy. Now, that didn't necessarily align at the time with big tech because it ultimately came at the cost of their income. And data markets are huge. Everyone is an asset all the time online. You're consistently creating data which is valuable. And in most cases, it's traded in a market which you aren't really a part of. So Elastos really grabbed me. One of the things what made it so interesting was that it was merge mined with Bitcoin. It offered decentralization. You don't have to rely on a central authority like a bank, which traditionally we saw in 2008, they can sometimes break their promises or use the money that's deposited into the bank from consumers in a way which can become malicious or it can backfire. It's really important because as we move forward, I think we want to be able to have control over our digital lives, and banking and finance is the first one. It's censorship resistance. It allows borderless transactions, and also there's a fixed supply because ultimately today there's, let's say using the US as an example, there's $34 trillion worth of debt. That's roughly about $102,000 per citizen in the US. Debt is issued through the treasury bonds, but really through the devaluation of money. So as more debt is issued, really what it means is the cost of living goes up or money becomes less valuable. When we manipulate money, what we're really doing is we're creating issues for the citizens. And actually, the dollar has lost around 25% of its value over the last 4 years. Bitcoin really is a promise of creating scarcity. There can only be 21 million Bitcoin. And that means that in that environment, we can actually understand that it can't be manipulated because we have all of these computers, what are called miners, working together collectively to ensure that truth will always remain the same. So BeL2 actually, from Elastos's perspective, it's merge mined. So it gets the security from these miners, and then it offers what really is an internet, or what we call a smart web, which is grounded in Bitcoin security, in its finance and in its value. But it offers this suite of technologies for us to actually be able to own our own data and then to actually monetize that data. So BeL2 is really about connecting these two worlds together. So you've got Bitcoin, which is like a financial system, a new global decentralized financial system. And then you've got Elastos, which is like a new internet, which provides you the digital identity, the trading, and the actual ability to store and own your own data and monetize it. And really what BeL2 does is it makes Bitcoin a financial hub. So if you could imagine Bitcoin being able to talk with other blockchains, it can make deals, it can execute contracts, and it can expand its influence without really ever compromising its integrity. That's really what BeL2 enables. And it's an exciting space to be in because Bitcoin really, at this point, has roughly $1.3 trillion worth of value. So it's 3 times bigger than its competitor, which is Ethereum. And so we saw recently ETFs, we saw regulation opening up to Bitcoin to say that it's a commodity. So now we're seeing the doors open and more people get access to it. And really, Bitcoin has limitations in that it's a great store of value, but it can't do much more. But what we try to do with BeL2 is to actually make Bitcoin like a control center. So you can actually use your Bitcoin to actually operate smart contracts and communicate with other blockchains that can do smart contracts. What that means is we can create all of these new smart services that are grounded in Bitcoin and its security.
Tell me about the MVP for BeL2. So that first version of the product you built, how long did it take to build and what sort of tools were used to bring it to life?
The engineering aspects is complicated because we're fundamentally not trying to change Bitcoin. What we're trying to create is what's called a zero knowledge proof system. When you do a transaction on Bitcoin, it creates this zero knowledge proof. It creates a proof that transaction happened, and that can be fed into another blockchain smart contract or into an Ethereum smart contract, for instance, which then triggers a result. So the first MVP that we actually built, and this is over the last 3 months, It is a simple swap feature. So anyone on a layer 2 EVM can deposit cryptocurrency amounts, as for instance, some USD Tether, and they can say anyone on the Bitcoin network can actually purchase that from me. And if you're a Bitcoin holder, you can go to BeL2. You can see that there's these individuals around the world that are willing to trade their USDT for Bitcoin. And if you like what the amount and you like the offering, you can basically go ahead and make a swap. Now, what you're actually doing, though, is you're depositing Bitcoin into that individual's other Bitcoin wallet, so on the Bitcoin blockchain. When you transfer that Bitcoin across, a zero knowledge proof, which is very new, revolutionary kind of technology that we've been working on, that then gets passed into the smart contract where the USD Tether is. And it says to the smart contract that you have officially deposited that money. And then the smart contract releases the USD Tether and it sends it to your address that you define when you do the transaction. So what's happened here is there's been no bridging. It's actually been done using this new zero knowledge proof technology, which really this year we're seeing like a huge boom for this kind of technology, because the way in which you move between blockchains or you do transactions is you have to lock something up and then you release something, you mint and release something on the other side, which effectively creates an attack vector. And when we see these big blow ups that happen in blockchain, where these big hacks happen, in most cases, they were these bridges. And so the MVP of BeL2 showcases that you don't need to use these bridges. You can interact with blockchain systems all around, and it can be hundreds of different blockchain systems out there. You can interact with them, but without having to lock up or bridge your Bitcoin. And that fundamentally is a really exciting innovation to take place, because what we can imagine in the future is the ability for you in a decentralized way to be able to take loans out against your Bitcoin. So someone could make some USD Tether or could make a cryptocurrency available for loaning, and you could then use your Bitcoin to take out loans. You could pay back that smart contract, which then would return your Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. And we can also imagine stablecoin issuance, because if Bitcoin's promise is to be your own bank, what if you could be your own central bank? So we could envision actually using BeL to potentially issue your own stablecoin, similar kind of digital dollar. However, it's backed by Bitcoin. In that context, Bitcoin is almost like gold. And similar to the kind of older systems, it was in the 80s that the gold actually got dropped, but it used to back every dollar, and then it no longer happened. When you can say that there's a currency that's backed in Bitcoin, and we can say that's possible in a decentralized way, that in itself, I think, is a huge innovation for how we can envision Bitcoin's use case in the bigger picture. Many people can't imagine Bitcoin as a currency because it fluctuates in value, but can we imagine Bitcoin as a gold which enables a new currency that is backed by Bitcoin, and that is a stable currency that can be used? That's, I think, quite exciting for many people too. There's a whole host of other utilities, but our MVP fundamentally just showcases that this technology, without needing to bridge, is possible, and you can just do simple swaps into different cryptocurrencies.
You described the first version, right? You described around the first version and how you got there. Progress the product to now, right? How did you do that? How did you mature it, or how are you maturing it? And I'm curious about how you build a roadmap for something like BeL2, and what sort of criteria you're looking for to decide, okay, this is the next most important thing to build or to address.
The space moves so fast, and there's so many different individuals all innovating in different directions. But I think the core vision, at the very least, is the ability for Bitcoin to communicate with other blockchains, and then to fundamentally allow smart contracts to be able to be run on Bitcoin. So you don't have to leave the network. The journey for us really began actually in Singapore last year at Token 2049. And so, as I say, Elastos is the kind of project behind this protocol, BeL2. And we hosted a Bitcoin Layer 2 event because Elastos has been merged mined with Bitcoin since 2018. The miners that secure Bitcoin for no additional cost can secure Elastos. And there's 50% of those miners today that have opted in to earn ELA, the currency of Elastos, in return for their security. So it's been a very impressive feat for the project to manage to get. And in last year, we actually put on an event in Singapore for this event called Token 2049. It's where many blockchain leaders all come around the world to talk about their innovations. And we had some of, especially in the East, some really big figures who have been in the blockchain space and in the Bitcoin space for so long. And it was there where we presented, and we were also inspired and educated on what a layer 2 network that's built on top of Bitcoin could look like, and the kind of technologies it could incorporate. And so I mentioned a little bit about the zero knowledge proof technology, and really you can then create custom smart contracts on any blockchain network that can receive these zero knowledge proofs and can provide a service. So that was enough for us to make quite a big pivot into the layer 2 direction. And as a result, BeL2 was birthed. And really, the goal here is we are really looking to create this system where anyone can leverage their Bitcoin and they can trade it for different things. Its unique capability really is to extend past Bitcoin's utility and to allow it to interact and trigger smart contracts on other chains. Now, the MVP showcases this is possible, but then the roadmap moving forward is what's the ideal scenario that people would really enjoy being able to use? And can we provide that, but also allow other developers to also build their own solutions and basically make services that are programmable to Bitcoin? We want to be an interoperability innovator. We want to enable interoperability between Bitcoin and other blockchain ecosystems, and without them having to necessarily bridge anything across, but actually just to communicate using this service. So the first service that we really built is called the Bitcoin Oracle. And all it's there to do is just to feed Bitcoin data into smart contracts. And then that in itself can help with price feeds, it can help with executing smart contracts, and it can help with just providing a service which any ecosystem can look to incorporate. And then in the bigger picture, it gets more exciting as we introduce what are called relayers that allow you to execute very smart functions, and they can be time-based. Something like a loan, for instance, you need a relayer to make sure that the loan gets paid back so it can then execute to return your Bitcoin on the layer 1 on the Bitcoin network.
So you mentioned a team of 12 earlier, and I'm curious about how you built that team. And maybe this was part of Elastos, or maybe this was specific to BeL2. I'm curious about what you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you on this pretty new, cutting edge, and maybe complicated space.
It is difficult to find talent, especially when it's using these new kinds of programming languages. Zero knowledge proofs and what we're talking about on Bitcoin is using a programming language called Cairo. And that's actually very bespoke still today. So to find the right people there is quite difficult. Ethereum and EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine, that's the kind of Ethereum network. It's a programming language called Solidity. There is a growing number of developers in this space, but actually filtering through to find the right kind and the right ones with the experience is also a tricky challenge. I'm quite lucky in that I joined the Web3 and blockchain space in 2018, and then I actually left it film in 2020. But in that time, I really built up my reputation within a community just based on me wanting to help out and learn. Being inquisitive, asking questions, and finding things out, it took me to these really interesting pockets of the internet where I got to meet these skilled individuals. A project which I founded that's not related to BeL2 is called Elasity. We built a decentralized digital rights management platform, so effectively allowing you to monetize your data. And on this journey, I've got a CTO who is incredible, and then behind us we have a team of incredible engineers, which throughout the last 3 years, really we've been able to find our footing, and that's what led us to build our team that we have today. Because I think when you're grounded, especially with individuals that you really trust and you work well with, and you have a bit of experience behind that, when we made that pivot as a community to go into the layer 2 space with BeL2, I was taken on board to be the CEO and to be the head. And then we have a head of strategy, we have head of growth, and then we have our engineering team on top, as well as head of technical. And we were able to form our engineering team quite well based on the kind of experience and the connections that we had. So it was luckily not too difficult, but I think it was lucky because there was at least 5 years of trust and building that was taking place prior to making this decision.
My next question will be really interesting, given what you're building on, but I'm sure there are pinch points that are difficult and have interesting stories around them. So I'm going to ask about scalability. Was BeL2 built to scale efficiently from the beginning, which I kind of know the blockchain aspect of it, but I want to hear your voice on that and your stories there. Or have there been any interesting areas where you've had to fight it as you've grown?
Bitcoin is very limited today in what you can do, and for good reason, because it's here just to provide a simple store of value and a way to transfer value efficiently. So the point of layer 2s, and there's been another layer 2 such as the Lightning Network, there's a host of others. And I think this year actually is the year for layer 2s, because the whole purpose of a layer 2 is to allow Bitcoin to scale. And it's really to allow Bitcoin to do more than just be a store of value, but actually to be more smart in the way in which you can use it to interact with really Ethereum services and these new other technologies which have been emerging in parallel. The initial challenge was actually setting up a Cairo circuit, and this is it's essentially a circuit which generates a proof, a zero-knowledge proof, when a transaction is made on the Bitcoin network. Now, a zero-knowledge proof is a cryptographically verified signature that something has taken place, but without showing that underlying information. Now, that can be really helpful for identity, because you could imagine that you could use a zero-knowledge proof to showcase that you're above 18, but you don't have to say the exact date you were born. And so there's different ways in which you can provide value or information, but you can actually keep your privacy. And from a Bitcoin perspective, if we're using zero-knowledge proofs to be passed into a layer 2 protocol, we can actually protect and provide privacy for the underlying transaction that happened on the Bitcoin network, but then we can allow that zero knowledge proof, which holds the value of the transaction itself, to then trigger something in the smart contract, a service, which could then basically create an opportunity. I like to look at one of the kind of coming together of lots of technologies. I mentioned about elasticity. I'd like to think of it all coming together where, for instance, I am a Bitcoin holder and Bitcoin really has the most amount of users today. Imagine I am a Bitcoin holder. I hold $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. I could take a loan out against my Bitcoin using BeL2, which would allow me to take out a $5,000 loan, for instance, which is then minted onto the layer 2 network. Now, on this layer 2 network, transactions are very fast, and let's say elasticity, that allows you to, for instance, buy royalties for music, and the music is encrypted, so is the videos, for instance, or you could have games or even software, and you have to buy an access token, which is a type of NFT, a non-fungible token, to basically decrypt that content. Now, when you buy an access token, it immediately sends the revenue to royalty token holders. Can be anyone from an investor to an individual, a creator, a publisher, or a distributor. So you can create an inclusive marketplace where actually you can trade access tokens to content, but you can also trade royalty tokens to content. And those royalty tokens earn income from the access tokens. And now, using BeL2 as a Bitcoin holder, I've just leveraged my Bitcoin to take out a loan in a decentralized manner and then to create income-bearing assets on a layer 2 network, which can be scaled, and then to then pay back my loan and for my Bitcoin to be returned. And now I have all of these assets sitting on a layer 2, which is still generating me revenue. That's where we want to get to, because I think people feel like they might be left behind increasingly more unless there's a way in which you can actually you can participate in the digital economy. What if we could have specialists co-train an AI model, encrypt that AI model, and then make that available on a layer 2 network? And then the royalties for that AI are actually paid out to everyone who helped co-contribute to that AI. And then also a percentage of those royalties could be made available for the public to actually purchase and trade. And then as a Bitcoin holder, you can actually buy those royalties with your Bitcoin, and then you can start actually being a part of the AI economy. That, to me, is a much better system where everyone can be a part of this new digital economy. compared to what we see today, where I think it feels like everyone's going to be left behind.
Sasha, as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built. What are you most proud of?
Proud of my family, proud of how far they've come, proud of taking on challenges. It's important to take on responsibility in life. Sometimes it's scary, but actually you have to jump in to swim. So the more that you do these things and the more that you put yourself in a slightly uncomfortable zone, but really take on responsibilities, the more that you grow as an individual. I'm very proud for really stepping away from the film industry, actually, which at that time enabled me to travel around the world because I had to 3D scan different things. So it was an exciting industry to be in, but I actually left it because I just really had this driving urge for Web3, blockchain, and everything that we're working on today. And I doubled down on myself, and I'm proud, I think, for that, because what that enabled me to do is to meet incredible individuals, to go on an exciting journey, which continues to excite me today. And with Elasticity, the project I started initially, it was through that project that it led for me to become the CEO or the head of BeL2 and be asked to take on this role. And that's allowed me to meet many more individuals and actually travel more and more as a result. What makes me most happy is community and those that really empower me and support me to keep doing this, because it's something that I truly love.
Sasha, let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
When Elastos made the pivot into BeL2, it probably wasn't done as well as it could be. Now, it took about a month and a half for the realization of what we were doing to actually be really positive for the ecosystem. But initially, it came at a cost in that budgets had to be cut in order to make BeL2 take place. And that came at the cost of other technologies that Elastos was building. Whilst it wasn't a mistake to make the pivot, because it actually proved to be extremely successful. A few months later, we saw the value of ELA jump up, but it certainly was a mistake in the way in which we communicated, because it was one of the teams who actually got defunded in this scenario came to our community and said that we've been defunded, and that created a lot of hysteria and upset. So I think communication is key in everything you do. I had a friend called George Sarkadakis. He wrote a great book called The Cyber Republic. Really, it's about how you can democratize DAOs and democratize how people can participate in governance. And he taught me communication is everything. Your cells are continuously communicating. The older you get, the less they communicate, and you ultimately grow older and you die. So the worst thing you can ask for is silence, because that really truly is death. The best thing you can ask for and the best thing you can do is continuously communicate, be there for each other and support each other, and hopefully communicate as effectively as possible. So I think the communication of this pivot wasn't handled well. We've really tried and done our best to communicate more effectively from that, and that's had a really positive response as a result. Our project aligns both within the East, from everywhere from China to, as I say, I'm living in Thailand, to Singapore, but also to the West with Europe, the UK, and America. So we have different voices from all across the world with different cultures and backgrounds. And so communication actually is the biggest challenge that we need to work on and to ensure works for everyone. Because when everyone's aligned, some really magical things can emerge from that.
Okay, Sasha, this will be fun, and I'm sure you've got lots to say here. What does the future look like for BeL2, the product, and for your team?
The future is looking really positive for Bitcoin as a whole. And then BeL2 is really playing into this with its innovation. We're a lead sponsor at the upcoming Bitcoin conference in July. As I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin had ETFs, which are financial instruments for anyone, really this is the US actually, to enter in and purchase Bitcoin, but in a regulated manner. So it's a big shift in recognizing digital assets as a more mainstream investment, particularly Bitcoin in this scenario, and offering a safer and regulated way to invest in Bitcoin. So I actually think we're going to continue to see Bitcoin rising in the coming months. That's not investment advice, but I'm certainly excited that more and more people are entering into the ecosystem and wanting to participate in this ecosystem. So for BeL2, as I mentioned, our technology is continuously being developed. Our MVP will soon become a much more mature product with more services that we'll offer. It's ultimately a Bitcoin financial layer that it's offering. We'd like to see more, whether it's strategic investment considerations, but otherwise we'd like to see more growth in the way in which we message and we talk about the importance of this technology. So when I think about us in a couple of years' time, I certainly think that Bitcoin will be powering all of these amazing smart applications. So users will be able to, as I mentioned as my example, buy royalties for music, for software, for whether it's AI. You can do all of this using BeL2 as a Bitcoin user and connect to all of these smart services, which in this case would be Elasticity. But then also we can swap into different assets and we can purchase access to all different kinds of systems. And that's not just digital, but I like to envision where you could buy an access token to some video, for instance. But what if you can buy access token to a robot? Because we're going to see robotics become more and more a part of our lives. And I like to use the example of what if you can buy an access token to Gordon Ramsay's lasagna and he gets paid for it directly using the blockchain and the layer 2 protocol. But you as a result, you get access to his intellectual property and this robot is automated to replicate his lasagna exactly how he made it. And now suddenly you have access and you're having a Gordon Ramsay's lasagna at home. But then when we think about 3D printing, we think about smart devices. And then we just think about this convergence of all of these technologies coming together and you being able to actually participate in that economy. And you can use your Bitcoin to access that economy, which Bitcoin is a globally accessible currency. It's peer-to-peer and anyone can get hold of it from any country if they need to. This is a much more inclusive system, and BeL2 enables much more smart functionality beyond just holding it as a store of value. But really, I'd like to envision in the years ahead, we'll be able to connect all types of industries together and enable all of these incredible applications to take place, working with developers globally and using this infrastructure to make Bitcoin smart.
Okay, Sash, let's switch to you. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to and why.
Primarily, I look up to Rong Chen. And Rong Chen was the founder of Elastos and the individual I mentioned. He has a deep background in operating systems, and ultimately it led him to create the vision today. I think not just in his technical expertise and understanding architectures of software and also computer science, but actually fundamentally as an individual, he inspires me because he's humble. He doesn't look for glory. He actually wants to do something meaningful for humanity. He believes in this. It's been his life dream. He's been doing this now for over nearly 30 years, if not more. Elastos was a journey that began for him far before it began for us in 2018. He's someone who I think he does good for the world, and his vision is here to do good for the world. And it's the same kind of ethos of many great innovators out there. But Satoshi, who was the founder of Bitcoin, similar kind of characteristic where Bitcoin was created really as a means to be your own bank. It was created in spite of the financial crisis in 2008. But then also the person who built Bitcoin had a pseudonym, Satoshi Nakamoto, but he decided not to take the glory. He became completely anonymous. And to this day, no one knows who he is. And yet he provided something so meaningful and valuable to so many people to the extent that it's really a $1.3 trillion ecosystem today. How that evolves is really interesting, but Rong Chen certainly inspires me. I've been lucky enough to get to spend lots of time with him. When he was in university, he opposite dorm rooms was someone else who went on to build digital rights management systems. His name's Dr. Xin Wang, and he went to build digital rights management systems for governments as a means for communicating between ally countries, encrypting data and having communication. Now that got commercialized into Web 2, and really Web 2's golden era, the internet we have today, be it Facebook, Netflix, YouTube, all these incredible platforms. What made them incredible was digital rights management, because it's the ability to protect intellectual property and to enforce who can view that content. Every time you log in to Netflix, There's a digital rights management system that checks against your identity. Do you have a subscription? And if you do, the content all gets decrypted. Now that enables business models, and it's enabled we've seen has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry today. The challenge is that it comes at the cost of creators as it increasingly became centralized, and it's usually through centralized licensed servers. So a lot of the innovation we did with Elasticity, and we worked with Dr. Xin Wang because he believes that it's inevitable that DRM also moves into Web3. The innovation we did there, we enabled smart contracts to actually license servers. So they check against your digital identity, your decentralized identity. Do you own what in this case would be an NFT and a token that has embedded rights? Do you own the rights to view this content? And if you do, the smart contract, rather than the license service, issues the key. And this fundamentally decentralizes digital rights management, because now we don't rely on a centralized license server. We rely on creators' smart contracts, which are all distributed individually. And that means that a creator can now get 95, if not 100% of their income, rather than today, which is roughly about 50 to 60%. That shift is actually a huge amount of income that we can enable through blockchain technology.
Sasha, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice would you give that person, having gone down this road a bit several times in different ways?
Create a close circle of people that you truly can trust, because if it's got real value and it's going to grow, I think you're going to get lots of people coming to you, telling you things to do and giving you advice. And perhaps the best advice is listen to what you believe in and have these individuals in your life, but don't necessarily go by everything you're told. I've met lots of individuals along the way, and I've learned that actually everyone has their own opinion. It's very subjective. If you are a founder, or if you're someone who's built something that's actually got value and you deeply believe in it, that says a lot about you. It says that you are on the right track. You can believe in yourself and you can keep pursuing that track, and make sure as you go, you introduce people that really have the same kind of ethics that you have, the same kind of integrity. Don't just chase money, chase networks as well. So if someone is offering you a lot of money, that doesn't necessarily mean they have your best interest at heart. If they're offering you some capital or money to help scale, but then they're also offering you a network and they have a background, and they also seem as someone who you can really align with their integrity, then I think that will put you in a position, because you want to be in a team which everyone inspires each other. You don't want to be one-upping or having individuals who are working against each other. And I think when you find that perfect combination, you can do really well. I'd also say use these new tools to your advantage. I know that there's concerns about these new technologies like artificial intelligence, but actually I think teams naturally are able to do more for less as time goes on. Now that's both exciting and also concerning. I had a producer working in film who I used to speak to. I'd travel with working on a film, and he said in the 80s, a small team could build Pac-Man, and Pac-Man could be distributed, and it was distributed across the whole world and made multi-million dollars in revenue. And then technology became more advanced. And today, in order to fill, whether it's a Blu-ray disc or to create a product that's really A+ rated, you need to have teams of hundreds, but you need to have millions of dollars really to pay for everyone's salaries. So it's become less accessible as time's gone on to actually build commercial products. And then when we look at the introduction of these new tools like AI, the comparison that he made was these tools take us back to the 80s again, where suddenly a small team can actually achieve amazing outputs and they can do a lot more for less. We're going to see this environment continue to get better and better. And so if you're a young entrepreneur, you're building solutions, don't go against the technology that's advancing, because it's only going to get more powerful. Try and work with it, and then ideally try and enhance it so others can actually participate too. I think that would probably be my advice.
Fantastic. Well, Sash, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of BeL2.
Great to be here and appreciate your time.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
In a world full of noise, long-term thinking stands out. On the Capital Ideas podcast, Capital Group leaders explore the decisions that matter most in investing, leadership, and life. It's a rare look inside a firm that's been helping people pursue their financial goals for more than 90 years. Listen to the Capital Ideas podcast from Capital Group, published by Capital Client Group, Inc.